Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. In this video, we're going to take you through some things that are flowering here at the end of February. Today is an 85-degree day near the end of February. Most of the month wasn't like this, though. We had pretty normal temperatures, and then it's kind of gone wild here in the last week. So most of the things that are in bloom or in flower, they're not really that early for our area. We're in Zone 7B in Raleigh, North Carolina. This is an Edgeworthia chrysantha. That has, oh gosh, this thing's been going off now for close to a month. It's probably a hair past peak at this point. The fragrance is just absolutely incredible on this plant, and the kind of the architecture of the shrub is amazing as well. It always divides into threes, which is kind of interesting. You'll see right there, it's divided into three. Down lower on the shrub, it's divided into three. Down lower in the shrub, it's divided into three. When it starts to put on new growth this spring, each of these ends will be three as well, which is kind of interesting part of this plant. The other thing, we don't have a deciduous magnolia in this garden, but I went and took a lot of photos this week at the J.C. Ralston Arboretum. They have an incredible collection of deciduous magnolias, and they're stunning this year. We haven't had a frost or a freeze. A lot of times the star magnolias especially will open so early that they'll end up getting some frost damage on them, but they are just absolutely spectacular, and we don't have any kind of frost in the forecast, so I think they're just going to be spectacular for another 2 or 3 weeks. I don't really have any Camellia japonicas. We have 2 Camellia japonicas in this landscape. Both of them are pretty small, so not a lot of flowers on those, but lots of them around the neighborhood to enjoy right now. My buddy Rob over here, we went over there and took some photos over at his place the other day, and just he's got an incredible collection. And again, because we're not having any thus far, any kind of late frost, they're just blooming like mad. We have lots of daffodils blooming at this point, as you kind of would expect here in Raleigh. Some of the early varieties are showing some color at this point. We've got lots of hyacinths showing color out here in the landscape. They're fragrant, almost fragrant to a fault for me. Steph loves them, but they almost give me a headache. They're so fragrant. And we have quite a few crocus blooming as well, as you can see here. We have some really interesting daffodils as well. Let me show you those. This is a group of fetid hellebores that we planted from a little 6-pack that we got from Pine Knot Farms maybe 2 years ago. It took that first year, they really just sat there and struggled, and then this past spring, summer, and fall, they just went wild over here, and they've been blooming for weeks and weeks. They're called fetid hellebores. They really are not. They're the stinking hellebore. They really have no odor whatsoever, as far as I can tell. You got to be careful with this one. It's a little more aggressive in the garden than some of the other hellebores. This garden is still so new. Hellebores can take a little while to get themselves established, and we tried to buy smaller ones where we could, because they're not the least expensive things in the world. But this season, they're finally really starting to show a lot more color, as you saw with those fetid hellebores over there. This is sparkling diamond. This is a double white. We have a couple of these out here, incredibly showy. Again, I put up a video pruning back the old foliage off the hellebores earlier in the season. So, you know, with that old foliage cleaned up from around them, they're quite a bit more showy. A couple of the daffodils, this one's actually quite fragrant. This is Erlicheer. This is one of the multis. These are new in the ground this year. They'll be a bit more showy next year, a bit larger next year as they mature. But look how many individual flowers, double flowers with the yellow and kind of creamy white there are on each of these. This was a slightly larger multi-flower daffodil right here. This one's called Avalanche, and it's also, I mean, it's really quite beautiful. I've always been drawn to these kind of multi-flowered daffodils. Very long bloomed, and again, you know, even more so this one. Just look at each of those individual flowers. This hyacinth you're looking at is called Yellowstone. I love those pale yellow flowers on it. Really quite striking, quite beautiful. It's not the show, you know, they're not as showy as some of the other clusters, but to me, I like that open flowering that's on them. And of course, they're just as fragrant as any of the others. One of the big things in Hellebore breeding in the last, 10 to 15 years is, that the white one that I showed you a second ago, all the flowers are nodding, meaning they're pointing down. This one is a little more upright. This is Fire and Ice, right? That's this one.
Ice and roses.
Okay, this one's Ice and Roses. Sorry. A couple things. One, the flowers are a little more showy. They're still nodding a bit, meaning they're pointing down just a bit, but you can definitely see that more than you can see in others. The other thing is the foliage is just really amazing on these. So after this flowering, which is very long flowered, this has only been in the ground for a couple years, and look how full this is already. That clump will get just a bit larger each year. Again, these leaves were cut off, not cleaned up well, but they were cut off. And after it finishes flowering, the new foliage that emerges on these is really quite striking, which kind of extends the season on hellebores beyond just, late winter flowering. One thing that's budded up like crazy, but it's not blooming quite yet, that is a candidate for getting zapped, is this emerald snow loropetalum. It is really early for this thing to be budded up as much as it is, and flowers are starting to open right here. This thing will be solid white, little lacy witch hazel like flowers here in a week or so. Really like this variety. I mean, look how compact it is. It's been 2.5 years in the ground here. I've pruned it once, and it's just got a nice compact habit. I moved it in the middle of the summer. And it wasn't all that happy about the move from one side of the path to the other, but it came, by the end of the season, had come back out of it. That winter freeze we had, that cold wind was uncovered, really didn't cause it any damage. It damaged some other loropetalums in the area, but for some reason this one escaped damage from it, and it is going to be solid white in a week or so. Rosemary's still putting on a show. It has those salvia-like flowers on it, and a lot of people don't think about rosemary as a flowering shrub, but here in our area, they can start as early as, around Christmas, just depending on how warm it is, and have flowers on and off until it gets hotter, about mid-spring. Really love this blue diamond hellebore. It's almost a black flower. It's just really, really striking. There's a couple of those in the garden. They were planted very, very small. So it's taken a couple years to get them to this point, but they've been blooming now for a week and a half. And I expect, we don't want a lot of 85-degree days on them like today, but as long as that moderates a bit, they'll be blooming for weeks and weeks. Another hybrid one over here called Penny's Pink. Again, the flowers, quite a bit more showy, sticking up on top, and it's almost got this variegated foliage as it finishes flowering and new foliage emerges from the center of it, almost is variegated. The thing is as pretty out of flower as it is in flower. Never thought I'd really say that about a hellebore, but very, very striking foliage on it. There's a Pulmonaria that's jumped up definitely a little bit early here. That's a silver bouquet, and as Steph said, a lot of times tags are deceptive, but I will say we're about to mulch. We're going to get some of these leaves out of here and mulch, but that tag pretty much is exact, right? To what we're seeing there. So that was a tiny little plant that was planted late last spring. Struggled a bit during the summer. It's not the big giant fan of our 95-degree days here, but it's coming back, bigger, better, fuller. Hopefully it'll do that each year. Blueberries out on the driveway are starting to flower. Another one of those things that's probably flowering a bit early and is going to be vulnerable potentially to some frost. So we may end up throwing a blanket over those. Some of these things, especially something that's fruiting, if it's flowered already and then you get frost, that's potentially devastating to that crop. So we'll keep an eye on that, maybe end up having to cover those. This is a mountain snow Pieris. This is a Southern Living Plant Collection Pieris japonica that is very, very full. This area in the garden in the very back here is sandy. The rest of the property is mostly clay, and it's really dry back here. It's not something that we actually thought we'd have to deal with when we first started planting things. So it's taken a little bit of extra time to get things established on this back line, but they eventually have broken through, and this one looks terrific. A year ago, it had been in the ground about 6 months and had gone backwards and then came charging out this past season. And I expect as soon as it finishes flowering, these get to growing pretty quickly in the spring, do almost all of their growing pretty much in March, April, and May, and then kind of shut down in the summer heat. But I bet it'll be this big at that point. So there's a few of the things that are blooming in the garden here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Not too shabby for February 23rd or whatever it is as I'm filming this. Again, a really oddly almost hot day here. I'd like to see that back off just a bit, but not too much at this point because we've got all these flowers showing off. So thanks for following along.